Greetings viewers, if you click the video link you're here to hear me yap about prepping and why I feel like it's a kind of a convoluted and confusing mess maybe to some people. And it's my belief that there are two reasons for that, and the first one is just basically because prepping has become commercialized. And so prior to shows like Doomsday Preppers coming out, people have been stockpiling, storing supplies, prepping, whatever terminology you want to apply to it, since basically the beginning of time. Once it had a name applied to it and it was coined as prepping and it became a thing, then everybody wanted to jump on board and offer their products and their overpriced gadgets and 101 gizmos that you got to buy now so you can survive any apocalypse. And there's probably 500 different YouTube channels out there, and every single one of them is telling you to do something different because their situation may be different than yours. And you may not know what the right answer is or how to go about doing it or getting into it, and it's confusing. And so I think that has caused a lot of issues with it. Everybody kind of jumping on board on that bandwagon, throwing things in your face, telling you what you need to do or else you're not going to survive. Well, everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different. Somebody that lives up north in an area where they might get 8 feet of snow overnight is going to be a little bit different than someone that lives down south and there's a hurricane coming every other week during hurricane season, or tornadoes out west and earthquakes, sinkholes, foreign forces invading, and you're living on the beach. You're out in the middle of corn country and you've got aliens coming down and making crop circles. Whatever situation you have going on, it's going to be specific to you. So kind of some of the things I'm going to talk about today are going to be generic, and they can be applied to basically anyone in any situation. It may just more so be a matter of storage and finances, and you just kind of take the general tips that I'm going to give you and apply them to your situation as needed. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you need to buy this gadget or else you're just not going to survive when the zombies show up. I would never do that because your situation is going to be different than mine. And I wouldn't take advice from somebody that's telling me the same thing in reverse. So I think the second reason, like I mentioned, that things get kind of convoluted and are confusing or difficult to navigate is because as people, we generally try to take on and do too much all at once. So for example, somebody wants to start losing weight. They say, you know what, I'm going to wait for the new year to come around. I'm going to get my gym membership. I'm going to go every day. I'm going to start dieting. I'm going to start getting up early. And all of those things combined become a little bit too much to handle. So if you're a member of a gym, you should be very familiar with this, that around January there's standing room only, and probably by March, April it's back to normal and there's the same 3 people you see in there every day. Because those same people that signed up and said they were going to do all these things tried to take on too much. So what a lot of people do when it comes to prepping is they just think, you know what, I've got to buy all of these things right now and I'm going to survive to the end of time. I'm going to stock up on buckets of freeze-dried food and bullets and bottles of water, and I'm just going to stick it out and live till the end of time. So let's pop over to the computer for just a second and I'll kind of show you why that may not be an ideal situation. And for a lot of us, if you're sitting here watching this video, chances are you don't have the kind of money to buy a decommissioned missile silo and move your whole extended family into it with a warehouse full of supplies to live till the end of time. So for us average folk, I'm trying to help you in your situation a little bit.
All right, so here we are on the computer. I have a just simple Google search pulled up here. You can see the average life expectancy in the US. This has a year of 2020 listed on here, and obviously, as you can see, says 77.28 years. So we're just going to do some math and round up and make it an even 80. I prefer to work in even numbers, and it's also kind of convenient since next weekend I will be 40 years old, so then that makes the math even easier. I don't numbers good. So now we're working with some realistic ballpark figures here. Average life expectancy of an adult in the United States is approximately 80 years. Now keep in mind, this is with access to all of today's science and medical knowledge and equipment. This is not taking into consideration there's no rule of law, whatever apocalypse situation you have in your mind. You can't just drive down the street and go to CVS and get an antibiotic that you got a prescription for from your doctor because you got a splinter and got infected. This is in a perfect world with rule of law, 80 years. So you can imagine that that number would be a little bit less if things were chaotic and in, again, whatever shit hits the fan scenario that you come up with or you're prepping for. So now we'll just still stick with that 80 years. And I'm just going to use myself as an example since I'm the one here yapping about it. And we'll just say basically that from this point moving forward, I have 40 years to live, whether the apocalypse has started or not. So now let's just pop on over to the Wise Food Company. Since that's the bucket of the company I have sitting behind me there's a bunch of other different companies and brands. I've heard mixed reviews about either of them as far as quality and flavor and all that stuff, but I have to pick one example. I can't possibly go through every single one. So let's just say that I need 40 years worth of food for this stuff. So they obviously sell 30-day bundles, 3 months, 6 months, and then a year. So if we just click on the year, so this year has 60 servings. So basically, if we do the math on that, that's actually only 2 meals per day. So you're still going to have to supplement from somewhere else, getting another meal for the day, unless you're just going to be able to survive off of 2 of these a day. And that's probably going to get a little old after 40 years, I would imagine. But one of the things to keep in mind, the shelf life on these is only 25 years. So if I bought a stockpile of these right now and expected it to last 40 years, well, I'm sure it may still be good. It may still be edible. It's probably maybe lose some of its nutritional content. So I'm not even actually getting what I should be out of it. Now let's do some math. And again, we're sticking with this realism here. So $330 for 1 year's worth of food. Well, I need 40 years worth of food. So we go into our fancy calculator here. We've got $330 times 40 years worth of food. That is $13,200 in plastic buckets full of freeze-dried food. That does not include tax, so that number is going to be a little bit higher. Maybe you can get the number bumped down if you find a better deal somewhere else on somebody else's website or for a different brand. But this is going to be probably close to the average of what you're going to find. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. If you spend over $200, you'll get free shipping, so that wouldn't be a cost. But then you've also got to think about storing the stuff. And this is just food. This is not water. This is not any other supplies. This is not ammo, mags, guns, training classes, survival gear. This is strictly buckets of food that you now have to find a place to store, because that's a lot of buckets. So we look at it here. This is 6 times 4. So you're going to get 24 buckets times 40. I do not have that kind of room in my house. I don't have a warehouse that I could store this stuff in, especially not somewhere that would be temperature controlled or making sure that pests don't get into it. So that's another real world thing that you would have to think about when it comes to just trying to use this as your sole primary food source when it comes to the end of the world and whatever scenario you are preparing for.
All right, so hopefully that puts some things maybe in perspective, or why, again, relying on one item is not exactly going to be the end-all solution to your problem. So like I mentioned about people going to the gym and trying to take on too much. So the process that I'm going to explain and what I do, and it works for me great, is what I like to refer to as a rolling stock. I don't have pallets of freeze-dried food and bottled water. I live in Florida. We have hurricanes. I know from past experiences that we lose power, and it can be for extended periods of time. So I like to have options, but I also like to live my life normally, because if you're watching this video, then chances are the apocalypse has not started yet. You're just kind of watching the horizon, waiting for it to start, hoping that all your supplies and skills and training can come into use. But again, until that time, we have to survive day to day. So I'm going to kind of share with you what I do with my everyday life, and it kind of contributes and helps to segue into the prepping lifestyle, especially since it's very easy. So I don't know if this is an actual coin term trademarked somewhere. I just simply call what I do my rolling stock. I'm pretty sure that I got that term from things such as this. So I have this box of canned goods. When I pull one out, the whole thing rolls and goes down to the next one, so I can feed stuff back in from the top and keep pulling, and it's kind of a revolving door, if you will. So basically everything that I own that I use on a regular basis, these are my multivitamins that I take every single day. These are canned goods that I use in my kitchen. This is quinoa that I eat with many meals. My toothpaste, my deodorant, my shampoo, every single one of the items, like I said, toilet paper, paper towels that I'm using on a regular daily basis. This is not going out of my way to buy specific supplies that are, don't look at it, don't touch it, it's only for when the zombies show up or whatever. Again, insert your doomsday scenario here. This is me just living my everyday life. Now, let's look at the multivitamins, for example. I have 3 bottles sitting here. Well, that may be a little bit weird. You ask, why do I have 3 bottles when I can only use 1 at a time? Well, great question. Like I said, I do this for every single thing. So keep in mind, no matter what item it is in my house or your situation that you use, you can apply this. Like I said, I call it my rolling stock. This bottle is open. I am actively using this every day, every morning and every night. I take a vitamin out of here and I eat it until this bottle's empty. So this bottle's empty. I throw it in my recycle bin. The next time I go to the store, or even what I'll do is when it gets low and I know that within the next couple days it's going to be completely empty, next time I go to the store, I'll grab a new one and it'll go back here. Well, once that bottle's empty, this one's already sealed, ready to go. This one lives in my bug out bag. I'm not going to talk about bugging out and bugging in and all that stuff in this video. I plan to cover that in a separate one, so stay tuned for that. But this one lives in my bug out bag. So now, once this one's retired and gone, this one comes into play. This one will come out of my bug out bag and go next in the rotation. And the new one that I buy, because it's going to be fresher, is going to go in my bug out bag. So now I'm going again by expiration date, so this stuff isn't going to expire. Remember the 25-year shelf life for the 40 years that I have left to live on my freeze-dried food. This is always going to be in a state of being fresh instead of buying a pallet of these things, sticking them in a warehouse and going to eat them, and they've been expired for 12 years. So I'm keeping my stock updated. I always have stuff on hand. Again, same thing, canned goods, quinoa, rice, beans, whatever it is that you eat and use on a daily basis. So how do you get to this point? I'm not expecting you to go to the store and catalog everything in your house and now you've got to go buy 3 of everything. That's not financially possible for many people. So let's just say, for example, these don't exist. They're not in my possession. This is the only bottle that I have, and I'm like, you know what? It's getting low. I got to go to the store and buy some. Well, instead of buying 1 bottle, buy 2. It's that easy. I know. And again, I wouldn't expect somebody or myself to do this for every single item in my cart. This one time I go to the store, I'm going to buy 2 of these. The next time I go to the store, and I'm low on quinoa and I need to buy another bag because this one's empty or depleted, I'm going to buy 2 because now I have that one in reserve. Same thing, you're buying ground beef, you're going to have taco night, and you're buying 1 pack of ground beef from Publix. Buy 2, stick 1 in the freezer. The next time you have taco night, pull that one out of the freezer and use it. However, when you go to the store for the rest of your ingredients, buy 2. Now you have 2 sitting in your freezer, and you have that constant rotation of food, toothpaste, toilet paper, whatever have you, going at all times. And it's, again, stuff you're using every day. It's not stuff that's just sitting there collecting dust. When the pandemic was going on because of COVID and everybody's freaking out and they would only let 5 people in Publix at a time and the line was down the block, I never went to the store because I had enough stuff on hand in this same fashion for, again, every single thing, whether it was meat, canned goods, toothpaste, toilet paper, all the stuff that was missing, hand sanitizer. I already had all that stuff basically in this same format in reserve. Was going to go to the store a couple times just because I figured, hey, it's the middle of the workday. I'll just pop in over there and see if I can snag some things just so I feel a little bit better about the situation. I saw the line wrapped around the building and I was like, you know what? I really don't need it. I was just doing it for my own peace of mind. I'll wait. Once things calmed down, got back to normal, I just picked up in my routine again and just started restocking all the things that I had depleted and gone through and caught back up to a level where I was happy with, and I'm still maintaining that to this day. What's handy to do, same thing for bottled water. I'm not going to save this bottled water for 20 years and expect it to be good if a hurricane comes. I put dates on it so I know when it's starting to get a little bit old and I'll bust it out and I'll start drinking bottled water for a little bit until it's gone and it'll be replaced and again cycled out, and you just keep things going and you've got that rolling stock in reserve. I don't know how many times I can repeat it, but again, it's all stuff that I'm normally using. I'm not just buying plastic buckets, sticking them in a closet and saying, you know what, I'm going to bust those out when a hurricane or a tornado or flooding happens or the apocalypse and the zombies show up and now I've got some food to eat. Because again, I have to survive today until that time starts. Then you start tapping into your supplies. So like I said, during the pandemic, I tapped into the stuff that I had and I went several months and I was good. Didn't need to go to the store, didn't need to purchase anything. it made my life a lot easier. And I never got to the point where I was eyeballing cases of MREs or freeze-dried meals thinking, man, that's, I guess, what I'm going to eat next because I can't get anything. So I have my nutrition and my dietary needs met daily up until the point where it's game day and the apocalypse has started and all my supplies I have run through and I have nothing left, and now I have to tap into the freeze-dried food and the bottled water. So when it comes to, again, foods and toiletry stuff, that works great. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. Again, just whatever your budget allows. I don't go out and buy 10 things of vitamins in a row. Just buy 2. Next time you go to the store, buy 2 more, buy just 1 more. Even if you don't need it, you're at the store anyway, you see them, hey, let me just grab another one to throw in reserve so I've got them. All right, so I think I've kind of beat that one to death. Hopefully it made sense. If you didn't understand or there's something I can explain further, just let me know down below. I'll always get back to you in the comments, answer any questions or concerns you may have. So we're done talking about food and toiletries and things like that. So let's talk about ammo. I know a lot of guys that have a whole box full of magazines that are still wrapped in plastic. They've got cases of ammo set aside, but they don't have any readily accessible ammo to them. They're gonna have to break the plastic open on the mags, open up a box of ammo, and just start stuffing rounds into them. Yeah, that can be good to have stuff in reserve. As you can see, I'm not opposed to that. However, you still need to have stuff that's actually ready to go. So let's take a look at these ammo cans that I have set here, and I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about. All right, so like I said, having mags and ammo on hand is great, even if they're still in the plastic, stored in cases as kind of your reserve, so you can load from later. You can throw it in your truck or trailer or whatever bug out setup you have, you can toss it in there and get going. However, when the zombies come knocking, I don't think they're going to take too kindly to you telling them, hey, can you hang on a second because none of my mags are loaded. Now, keep in mind, I am not telling you to buy these products. I am simply showing you what I use and my reasoning for doing so. You can obviously just throw loaded magazines in any old ammo can you want. These are MTM case guard mag cans. They come in a different variety of configurations. On the left hand side here, you can see these are all pistol magazines. It holds 10 pistol magazines. This one is designed simply for AR mags. It holds 15. I have another one thrown back in here for good measure. As you can see, there is a lot of dead space in here, so the little foam cutouts that these mags go in do take up some space. However, they keep them presented in a manner where, let's just say you need to carry this thing to your fighting position, you throw it in your truck so you can bug out and you get to where you're going, and all of a sudden you're running out of mags on your chest rig or your belt and you've got to tap into your reserves here. You can pop this open, slap them in your pouches, or take a knee, throw it down on the ground, open it up, and just start plucking these out of there as you would from your belt or plate carrier. This one on the side here is the combo can. I like this one the best. It holds 10 rifle magazines and 10 pistol magazines. Again, they are presented in a manner you reach in, pull them out. Let me pull some of these mags out just so you can see the inside of the can. All right, so you can see it's just foam that has some rectangles cut out of it that are the appropriate size for the magazine. They do make these cans for AK magazines, and I believe 308 as well. They're just different sizes and shapes. You, again, do lose a little bit of space because of the foam. I'm sure you could find some foam yourself and cut it, or find another way to do this. Again, I'm not telling you to go buy this product. I'm just showing you something that I use. So if whatever situation you are planning for may possibly involve firearms, you definitely should have magazines loaded and ready to go. And as soon as you feel like, you know what, I have enough, go buy some more and get those ready to go too, because ammo goes quick when you need it, and I would much rather have it ready and not actually need it than be going, you know what, I really wish I had packed some more mags, because then you may not have to worry about it for much longer after that anyway. So don't confuse anything that I've said today in saying that these meals are absolutely horrible, don't buy them, don't invest in them, they're a waste of time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm all about having a variety. I can tell you that if your sole plan involves living off of freeze-dried food for the previous example of 40 years, I can tell you that's a terrible plan. You got to have a little bit of variety. Even if you're vacuum sealing rice and beans and having something to season it with, you're going to want a lot of seasoning, because after a while morale can definitely decline. I spent quite an extended period of time eating nothing but MREs, and regardless of the variety and different things that come in them and flavors, it gets old after a while, and morale can definitely tank. That's usually not going to be good for anybody involved in a survival type situation. So mix it up. Don't just think that you need buckets of freeze-dried food. Don't think you just need canned goods or just bottled water. Get some Gatorade, get some Gatorade powder. And again, especially if it's items that you're using day to day. So let's say every day you've got a big tub of Gatorade powder that you're using and you're mixing up to rehydrate after a workout or when you wake up in the morning. Buy some extra, have it on hand. Have a couple different flavors even, maybe not just stick with blue. Again, this video was not meant to tell you how to become the ultimate prepper that's gonna survive any single possible survival scenario. This is just something simple that's a little bit easier to adapt, and again, it goes along with your daily routine rather than you having to completely change the way you do stuff and going from living in the city to, you know what, I'm gonna go out in the country and I'm moving off the grid and everything that goes along with it, raising livestock, growing your own crops, hooking up solar and messing with that every time something goes wrong with it in your house. When we try and take on too much at one time, it becomes overwhelming and it's no longer fun or desirable to do. So the things that I've shown you today can help alleviate some of that, and it's very easy to incorporate. Again, all you're doing is just, instead of buying one thing, buy two, buy three, and then next time you go to the store, buy two or three of something else, and just kind of keeping that rotation going with all the stuff you're already using. You're not going out of your way or bending over backwards to, again, go off grid and learn how to raise goats and grow corn. I'm certainly no expert at that, and if you're coming to my video to learn how to do those things, you may want to keep clicking because that's not me. But anyways, hopefully you found something somewhat useful, educational in this video. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I'm always open to constructive criticism or feedback, or if there's any topics that you want me to talk about or cover, always please feel free to just leave me a comment down below and I will be glad to accommodate. But with that, I am going to call this video here, so thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video.